Hello and welcome to this second episode, the true second episode in the second season of our podcast, the Goal Hour Podcast. You can check out our socials linked on this beautiful visual banner. But of course, if you're using your eyes, you'll notice that we have a guest on for the second time ever. And it's Buster right here with the World Soccer Report. And I guess, Camilo, we should just step aside, let him explain himself and how excited we are to collab, because this is going to be a jam-packed episode.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Camilo. It's really nice to be here. My name is Buster DeLay. I'm the host of the World Soccer Report on Spotify, local radio, Radio St. Pete. And basically what I do, I just have a little 10 to 15 minute roundup of all of the latest action, the greatest transfers, all that good stuff. And I get a lot of interviews with players that come to my local team, the Tampa Bay Rowdies, or if I travel abroad, I will always try to get interviews and things like that.
Nice.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Excuse me, that's embarrassing. He'll be in the description for YouTube.
Yeah.
Not really Spotify, because you can't do that, but check him out. Really check him out, because what he does is some really exciting stuff, and he's just in high school, which to me is it's insane. It's impressive. So please, guys, check him out, because if you like what we do here.
Yeah. And this guy is on Radio St. Pete. If you're a Tampa area listener, Tampa, St. Pete area, you're in the 813-727, is that correct?
72, yep.
Yeah. Go ahead and check out Radio St. Pete. They also have a website. You can check out all of the archives of all of the podcast clips as well. So that's a fantastic source to catch up on all your soccer knowledge, especially some specialized USL and MLS things around that nature as well. So if you're a listener of the Goal Hour Podcast, you know, we kind of delve into that in random points, but often stick with the big five leagues, and we'll get more towards a US-focused lens later. But for now, we'll get back to, I guess, our bread and butter, you could say. Champions League is finally back, and like any soccer fan, you got to be excited. There's a lot of fixtures. For me personally, Buster, I love watching what Liverpool's done. Camilo's going to speak on it later. But the biggest fixture, arguably, in the round of 16, it's probably not even arguable, is that PSG fixture with Real Madrid. And
huge. Freaking huge.
Yeah.
I'd like to call it the Mbappe Derby. That's what teams are.
The Mbappe hopeful derby.
Trying to keep
the Mbappe now versus Mbappe in 4 months derby.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be an Erling Haaland derby at some point. Then we'll figure out where that is. But yeah. So I guess since we brought you in, we'd love to take your input on anything. The way it's going to go, for all of our viewers, listeners around here, we'll kind of just ring it around the rosy, a little bit of a cornucopia of information here, and really just give our thoughts, impressions about everything that's about to go on. Obviously, some upsets in the group stages, but we got the final 16 to go with. And like we said, PSG, Real Madrid. And when you think of a PSG side, it's just, you think about all of the money that gets poured into that team. You think about the Sergio Ramos transfer. You think about Donnarumma playing with them. Keylor Navas is still there as well. And it's unimaginable to think how much they've grown that team in the past 5 years. Like, you think of the days of Ezekiel Lavezzi and a couple other guys that Zlatan was there and the team was good. Yeah. But the way they are now with all the players, it's insane to think. So, I mean, when you look at the counterbuster of a Real Madrid side that obviously lost Ramos to PSG, still has been doing quite well in La Liga, what you expect out of this game, or maybe what you look to observe and see against two really heavyweights?
Well, yeah, like you said, really, really heavyweight. This is probably the most exciting fixture in the group stage. And I don't see PSG getting beaten easily, but we know Real Madrid can do some really great things on the counter, especially with their quick players like Vinny and Karim Benzema.
Yeah.
I think it'll be close. I don't think there'll be more than a goal in it. I think maybe I'd like to say I think both teams will score, but maybe like a 2-1 to PSG. But I think Madrid will make it hard.
I have a different idea. I think just PSG are kind of, I don't want to say in turmoil, but
You'd
with
say
their
they're more
star player,
complacent.
with their star player Messi, like kind of. No, I don't want to say it. He's not thriving.
I don't think it's turmoil. I think he's just. I think it's
He's
a weird situation where you had all the pressure of being the guy in Barcelona, and then they tell you, oh, you can kind of just slot in and do your work and your magic, but you begin to realize that you're like non-essential is what I would say, right? You think about it. Like,
but I think PSG still has something to prove against a big team like Madrid, who have won the Champions League 13 times or something. So, I don't know. I want to see players like Cruz, Modric. I think this is kind of their like last stand with Real Madrid as they're getting up there. But honestly, I think Real Madrid would take it.
So, Camilo, I'm gonna counter right back at you. Just as the Spurs fan in the room, where do you think Luka Modric goes? He retires? He's pretty old, right? This is just a completely unrelated note, but for the vibes, man.
I think maybe he will have a season or two more with Real Madrid,
or MLS.
But I think he's getting up there, and he'll retire after that. But he's been a good player for them. He's been legendary for them, just for as long as he's been there.
Yeah,
he's been legendary for everybody, even Croatia while he was there.
He was
good for you guys, for Spurs, good for Madrid and Croatia. He's one player that's pretty much always consistent and adding to that Ballon d'Or back in, I think it was 2018.
Yeah,
really good player.
And you have to think about guys, right, that have always been special. I think Robert Lewandowski, unfortunately, was robbed for 2 years now. They created an award for him so that they could make him feel good, but the world knows he was robbed. But again, so he's one of those special players, but the two most notable that broke the Ronaldo-Messi streak during their entire era was Ricardo Kaká and Luka Modric, and that was it. So, I mean, that's a testament to some of those guys and their character and their ability in a team to be able to manipulate that. So, even though you see a Real Madrid team that's really old in some respects, right, in the midfield, where you hope to have a lot of energy, maybe Fede Valverde slots in and does other things, but they have the experience. They have so much experience in winning regimen and a pedigree to know how to take that team to the next level.
Yeah, but I'd still argue they have young blood. They have Valverde. They have Casemiro.
I think Vinny's just the most huge asset for them, though.
Oh, yeah.
Because Vinny and Camavinga and a couple other guys, if they can stretch out PSG and then kind of have Karim either be more of a recessed option or he's either attacking the box or he's going to hold up the ball in front of the box and make those passes.
It's like the false nine.
Yeah. So he can play in like either role. He's great as a target man or he can play in a recess role. So, I mean, that makes him really special for some of the young options that they have. So people look at PSG and they think, oh, this is a team that's just going to obliterate everybody. Obviously, you saw it wasn't so easy for them to get to the final last year. But now you look at them and you say, well, this Real Madrid team, just like a Barcelona team, did falter in the past, but has actually rebounded and not put itself into $1 billion of financial debt. But a team that's probably in a bit of a surplus because their owner owns everything in his country imaginable. Manchester City against Sporting Club de Portugal. Sporting CP, the former club of Cristiano Ronaldo, the former club of a few notable people. People expected teams like, Porto, Benfica, usually to come up in years past, but Sporting securing its spot in the round of 16 against Man City. And I'll tell you what, this kind of reminds me of a few years. Was it a year ago or was it 2 years ago, Camilo? It was Man City. They were playing Lyon in the quarters, right?
Was that last year?
I think it was last
2 years.
For 2 years.
Year.
I want to say it was last year, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. But it kind of reminds me of that matchup where, there's a team that, yes, they're such an underdog, and you can look to other matchups as well, but there has to be a reason that they're there in the first place. And, I mean, I'll go to Camilo first this time. Obviously, we know what we can expect about a Man City team, but are they indestructible, at least in this round?
No. they're not indestructible because anything can happen in football. And the real question is, how will Sporting line up? How will the Sporting manager adapt to, well, I guess Pep's just genius.
You never know if he does a 3-5-2 man marking
but
formation again.
The thing with Pep is he tends to overthink things.
Yeah.
In the really important games. You could see that in the final last season. I think Sporting are really going to fight very hard with players like Nuno Santos, Bolinho, in as forwards, but I still think Man City just have the pedigree to beat Sporting.
I think even if Man City have a poor game against Sporting, I still think they'll get it done because what it's shown. I mean, sometimes they just do have an all-around poor game, but even when their individual talents have a poor game, they just have so many good players that odds are one or two positions are going to play out of their skin every single time. So,
and the thing is, even with the fixture, the way it's set up, the first game will be at Sporting, so I think that might be a little bit of a disadvantage for Sporting because that first game is kind of going to be the game that sets it all up.
Well, especially for the underdog, right? You want to get the away goals first, and then you want to know what you need to hold against Man City. Like, if you get a 2-2 draw and you get one goal at home, if you had the second leg, then you know you have some sort of leeway. And it's not great to defend a one-goal aggregate, but, you know, if you're a team like that and it's the second half, it's something you can resort to. So it makes it a little bit more difficult for Sporting to be pushed into a position to have to score goals, especially because they're going to have to in the second leg, no matter what the score of the first leg is, to make up some ground.
Though, is that they did get rid of the away goal rule.
They did?
Yeah.
See, I messed up some stuff about AFCON last episode, so I'm 0 for 2 right now. But they got
Go ahead.
They got rid of it. What's the tiebreaker then? Or do they just go to like extra time?
I think it's extra time. I think it's extra time.
That's fair. I think that's normal. That's okay.
Not a big fan.
I think especially in the COVID times though, it made no sense at all. Because what's the point of an away, a home field advantage if no one was there? Besides the fact that the pitch sizes are a tiny bit different, and the grass you use is a little bit different, and the sun sets in the east and rises in the west or wherever it might be, nothing really changed that much. And like there are those little things, but nowhere near as profound as if you're going to Anfield and the Klopp end is like yelling and screaming at you.
Yeah.
That's completely different.
You'll still have the trouble with traveling,
jet lag,
familiarity with the surroundings, the pitch. But either way, you are right. In COVID, before fans could come back in, it didn't make a huge difference.
Yeah, so good for UEFA. We won't forget about the Super League, though. We never forget. We never forget about the Super League. It's a big thing on this. They do one good thing, we'll never forget the bad things, though. Because that was not a good move. But keeping things in, I guess you could say, mostly Germany, because Salzburg, Austria, Red Bull Salzburg plays against Bayern in fixture, and they're a part of the Red Bull umbrella. So Leipzig not in the tournament. Obviously, the American Jesse Marsch got sacked a few months ago. Fortunate for my guy Jesse, but his team that he used to coach is still really pulling its weight. And Red Bull Salzburg against a Bayern team that they have to be immortal for the rest of the time. Like, I think when I'm like 90 years old, it'll still be the same thing in the Bundesliga. Like, I don't think that's ever going to change.
I think eventually Bayern will falter, but I don't think it's Dortmund that will get over that hump.
Yeah.
To defeat Bayern. But either way, I think Bayern will definitely win this.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, go on.
I think Bayern will absolutely blow them away. But the thing is, they're coming off of a loss to, I think, Bochum in the Bundesliga, who are not nearly at the pedigree that, like you spoke of Bayern. and they lost 4-2 to them.
Mm-hmm.
So they just played woefully. They were terrible. So I think that'll either make them a little bit like dejected going into it, knowing that definitely the underdog can and will blow you away if you have a bad game. Or on the other hand, it could inspire them to show that they're still the top dog and absolutely blow them away. But one way or the other, it's either going to be Bayern, blow them away, or Salzburg, expose their weaknesses and get them by maybe a goal or two.
Yeah.
I do think this... sorry to interrupt you, Jared,
no,
but I do think that this game is kind of like Salzburg showing to the rest of Europe what they're made of and how good they are. Even if they lose, if they put up a good fight, you'll understand these players. You'll see their system. You'll kind of understand really what they're about.
It's also deja vu when you think about this was a team that before Erling Haaland transferred had him, Minamino, and a couple other guys really doing the same thing, nearly getting out of the group stages. Obviously, some of the players they have now able to get the job done. But, yeah, I think it's definitely a prove-it fixture that really can make or break Bayern in the sense that, you know, they can't get too complacent with where their position is. Yeah, they have Sané and Gnabry and all these other guys that I would say really reinvigorated the team. Like you think of how Bayern was a few years ago, kind of sitting on those older guys that didn't have a lot of cutting, incisive pace to kind of break up a game. And obviously Hansi Flick, who won the Champions League for them, moved on to the German national team, but the tenacity, the pressing, the energy that they still have carries on. So
I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah.
One big thing is Salzburg aren't like a team to scoff at, as they have players like Adeyemi and Aronson, who are big for that team.
Big Brendan
and
Aronson
can make
guy.
a real difference. So, not just because I'm American, you can see Aronson is a big part of that team.
Yeah.
So I think those two players will really, really, really need to pull their weight, as well as that midfielder. I forgot his name. I think he's Croatian or something.
He'll be in Leipzig in a few years anyways, so we'll find them some point.
Yeah, but those three players will really need to pull their weight and really need to show why Salzburg are a good team.
Yeah.
And to your point, Adeyemi, he's such a great young talent right now, the German forward. But he's got like blistering pace. And do you think he'll be able to get past the likes of Upamecano, Sula? I know he's transferring to Dortmund soon, but I think he's still at Bayern. And Sula's quick, but he's also a bigger guy. I don't know if he'll be able to deal with people like Adeyemi, but I think you're right. People like those two or three will really have to pull their weight. But if they can get it right, they'll challenge him.
Yeah, you're talking about Sula. I completely agree. Interesting. He's pulling kind of a reverse Mats Hummels, but obviously Hummels did go back to Dortmund, so it's interesting to see how Bayern guys are going to join Dortmund now. But he is. I think what makes him really good is that he's obviously has gigantic strides and he's huge, but he could be outpaced. I don't think it's like we talked about it in the PSG fixture. We talked about it in the Man City fixture, and I think that's obviously a constant because we've seen it happen. Like Juventus fell to Porto. This wasn't a very strong Juventus team that fell to Porto, but it was still a team that was supposed to win. And it can definitely happen. So
I think with what Buster said on Adeyemi's ability to kind of get past his man.
Well, he can open up the game so well.
Yeah, I think they'll really, I'm not sure if Neuer's fit, but I think they'll really need to lean on Neuer for that. Either way, though, I do think Bayern Munich just have that quality up top as well to not destroy, but really tear apart that Salzburg defense.
Right. Against Bochum, Neuer wasn't playing. It was Sven Ulreich, but exactly to what you said, their defense was woeful, but their attack was still their attack. I mean, Lewandowski is Lewandowski. He does not change week to week, really. He still scored 2 goals. He was still the man of the match for the game, pretty much. He's like even though he lost, he still pulled his weight, got a nice acrobatic half volley or full volley. He's Robert Lewandowski. So if basically if he shows up to the game, if he's on the team bus, he'll probably score a goal. So you can never count him out as long as he's there.
Yeah. But now moving on to the next match. A contest that Romelu Lukaku is a big fan of. Inter Milan versus Liverpool on Wednesday. And Liverpool, this is a fun one to talk about because Camilo's just going to go on about their new transfer from Porto. So
I knew it.
Yeah, so we can let him do that for a little bit, but or we can get it out of the way. Maybe Camilo, get it out of the way. Let's go. Luis Diaz.
You saw Luis Diaz against what was that? You saw Luis Diaz against Leicester. You saw Luis Diaz against Cardiff. Now he did get an assist against Cardiff, their championship team. All right, but I actually watched the Leicester versus Liverpool game. I was speaking to some of my Liverpool fan friends, and one of them was actually a very good at analyzing the game. He told me the way that Diaz played, it looks like he had been on that team for years, and I completely agree. And the surprising thing is he doesn't know the language, and he had a few miscommunications with Robertson.
Yeah, but he could be like Dani Rojas. Football is life.
But exactly. But the thing you see in him is just blistering pace. You can see his ability to get past his man. And with the Leicester game, it was just surprising he didn't score. And it's honestly, I think, because Schmeichel was having the game of his life. So I really think that Liverpool, with their new signing, and even just Mo Salah, who is, I know a lot of people like to hate him, especially Spurs fans. He's just such a good player. And I'm not sure if Mane will be back or not. Don't really keep up with that stuff. But as well as Mane, he just won the AFCON final. He's going to have that confidence. He's going to be hungry for another Champions League medal around his neck. So those players are really going to get past that Inter Milan defense, I think, as well as having a player like Virgil van Dijk and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the other one's name.
Joel Matip, Joe Gomez.
Joel Matip.
Matip's getting the reps though.
Those are big defenders that will give Inter Milan's attackers a tough time. And with Inter Milan having what's that player's name? Lautaro. Sure, he's a talented player, but I think he's still going to have problems getting past.
He's not entirely consistent. I mean, he used to be a little bit, but he's ever since Lukaku left, he's dropped off his consistency just a little bit.
And that's really what they're going to have to watch out for, because sure you have experience with Alexis Sanchez, and I think it's Vidal. Is Vidal still there? Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
You still have experience with those players, but they don't nearly have the quality, I think, to get past that defense and just the system.
Thing that kind of worries me is because I'm a Liverpool fan, so I'm a little bit biased here. But also to your point, you're a Luis Diaz fan. So I think Inter are going to definitely make it hard with their defense, because their defense is pretty strong with young defender Bastoni. You got De Vrij, just really good players back there, Skriniar, and then not to mention their keeper that's been around for long as I've been following it, Handanovic. He's been their starting keeper pretty much forever since he's been there, and he's just been incredible with De Vrij and Skriniar, Bastoni. Yeah, they'll make it hard, but to your point, Salah, Mane, Diaz, Jota, Minamino, Firmino, I mean, even like Oxlade-Chamberlain. I mean, there is an endless supply of Liverpool attackers to throw at that defense. And if Lautaro or somebody does get through, you hit Virgil van Dijk. What do you do? And then if you pass Virgil van Dijk, you hit Alisson. I mean, like, what do you do?
And the thing is, even with Alisson, even when he was at that poor spell last season, you're still surprised, because he is the player that he is. You know he's going to get back to his top. And he did. And, I mean, he's just such an amazing player. Like,
man of the match against Burnley today.
I mean,
Never discount a Burnley match. That's a tough match. I'm not even joking. Playing against that low block, like, you can put up 30 crosses, 30 shots against a Burnley team and try to score 1 or 2.
Yeah,
but they make it the most. They're probably one of the most difficult teams to play. More frustrating because you're basically just like, okay, I have to try to carve my way around 9 guys in the goal box. So,
and then if you get through, you got Nick Pope, who is like a friggin' octopus in the goal. Like he's so hard to beat. And then they'll score goals on the counter because didn't they just get Wout Weghorst?
Yeah, and they sold Chris Wood to Newcastle.
And then they have Jay Rodriguez, Dwight McNeil, who even though he doesn't score that much or even get that many assists, he's so influential to their team.
I'm a big fan of his.
I'm a huge McNeil fan. So, but like nobody talks about him because he doesn't have the numbers. But after like his first breakthrough season, he's just kind of like succeeded in silence. I guess nobody talks about him, but he's so good. I
think he would be a great like player in like a Brighton team. I'm not going to talk about Brighton, but I'm a huge fan of their manager, Graham Potter. I thought he should have gotten the Spurs job. That's me. But now Conte's there, so I thought he should have gotten the Spurs job when Nuno had the Spurs job. That's my defense there. But you can see what they're doing now, where they're mid-table and they shouldn't even be there with their budget. But the way that he's able to play, press with his team, and create their chances because of their expected goals that they don't finish, I enjoy watching Brighton. But that's another day, another time. I think McNeil would actually be a perfect budget transfer for a team like Brighton to fit into the system.
I do think, again, the system Liverpool have, Inter are really going to have a problem with getting through to that.
Yeah.
Getting through that. You have Robertson. You have one of the best fullbacks in the world, being Trent Alexander-Arnold. You'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens, but I think we all know in our hearts, even if some of us don't want them to win, we'll see that Liverpool will get past Inter.
Yeah, someday Camilo, you might be a Liverpool fan, I'm feeling. If Luis Diaz becomes like, if Luis Diaz goes from like young player to like world class, then like, he always has.
He's already world class.
Yeah, but they always say he's a world class talent. But if he becomes a world class player, then like maybe we'll see what happens there.
No, I'm keeping my allegiance.
This man's loyal to Harry Winks. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm loyal to Harry Winks. So.
And speaking of Diaz being a talent, I saw him play against Venezuela in person at
did you?
What's the stadium down here? Ray J.
Yeah.
That was right when he was breaking out as well in like showing what he could do. He was so good up top with like a current Frankfurt striker, Rafael Barre.
Yeah.
They had a lot of good players out there too, like Cuadrado, Davinson Sanchez, and I had no idea who he was. I was because I went because I'm a Joseph Martinez fan in MLS, and I went to see if he was going to play for Venezuela. He didn't play that day, but so I'm looking out here and I'm seeing some guys I never knew existed. Like I didn't know Barre, I didn't know Diaz, but Diaz was so good. It was a 0-0 draw, but he was electric. And
that's the thing with a lot of these South American players. You don't know about them a lot because they just move from South America to teams like Porto to teams like Frankfurt, so they're kind of under the radar, but they're talented, especially with Venezuelan players as well. I know there's a keeper from Venezuela,
Farnes.
Yeah, Farines. He's a very, very good player, and he's very exciting. But you see these players move, and it's a lot of pressure for them. So I think Diaz has coped with the pressure so far.
And Farines was a guy, just on a side note, that kept Venezuela in the game that entire game. He was like the best player on the pitch.
Hey, Camilo, you know what I'm going to say about watching Colombians at friendlies, right?
Oh, yeah. Me and Jared actually went to Miami.
I saw it.
Yeah, it was fun. We drove up and back, stopped at a Publix in Naples, got a charging cord and some cookies that were stale.
Yeah, why not?
I need to speak to the manager about that. That was unfortunate.
But
The prices here in New York, though, they're like 3 times that. So I'm not complaining anymore.
Do you guys have Publixes in New York, though?
No, they have a place called
See.
Wegmans, which it's pretty good. They have these bigger stores that are like gigantic. You can look up Wegmans big store on Google, and they're like 200,000 square feet. They're like they have little restaurants in them, and they're like produce and prepared. It's pretty. That's legit. But the older ones, I don't think they rival Publix. So that's just the Florida and me.
No, nothing rivals Publix.
No,
But
yeah, there's a lot of good things from Tampa area and Florida too. So I always just rattled off. But yeah, getting back to the Miami friendly with Mr. Beckham. No, we did not see Mr. Beckham, but
you see these young players, especially like in these friendlies, who for Colombia we called up players who are from the domestic league, and they won. And the thing you see with those players, like Asprilla, we're big fans of.
Let's go. That's my guy.
He is on loan to Envigado, but he's contracted to Watford.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see players like him who are just 18 years old.
Yes.
And the way that he plays and just I think if Colombia had a good system, you could see a lot of these young players go through from like into the national team. But I don't really want to I don't want to go on a rant about Colombia.
No, yeah.
So.
It's not just a player like Asprilla, though. It's like not just because he runs like Raheem Sterling, but you could see that in that game. Like how you said, when you don't know about a player and you see how they impact the game. Like he was playing as a wide player, but then he was also cutting inside, playing centrally, and he would receive the ball in the touchline, or he'd receive it in the middle, and he'd use his pace and break between the lines. So another huge good player before we move on is like, Jude Bellingham, world class. Arguably his most valuable asset is being able to make that incisive pass between lines or to dribble past his marking midfielder and get in on the counter. And so you see young guys that do that, and it's fantastic to see. So obviously that's the situation that Luis Diaz had for years and years and years and still was. Nobody knew who he was at Porto either, that was the biggest crime. You ask anyone a year ago if they knew who he was when he was playing in Champions League, no one knew who he was. So
until he scored that banger against Man City, that's when I think he really started getting on people's radar.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of drawing back to the Salzburg game that you were talking about. It's a chance for people to prove themselves.
Yeah.
It's a chance for if for example, if Adeyemi's already I think 99% linked to Dortmund or something, he is about to sign for Dortmund.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say he wasn't. If he scores against, who are they playing?
Bayern Munich.
Bayern, yeah. If he scores against Bayern, everybody will want him. They will all see him. Haaland scored 2 goals against Liverpool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or one or 2 goals, and after that they were like, "Wow, this kid's pretty good." And Dortmund snatched him up, and then look what he did. So
that's the thing with these. That's the exciting stuff about these players, especially as Sporting as well. We didn't actually touch on that. They're going to have these young players who want to kind of give Man City a hard time and show, hey, big teams, hey, Chelsea, hey, Dortmund, hey, Bayern. Here we are.
Yeah. But let's knock these last 4 out, right? Chelsea versus Lille, which is an interesting matchup because we also remember very fondly Burak Yilmaz and a couple other guys leading that team to winning League One Uber Eats last season. And now they're actually in 10th place in the league, but they're still in the round of the 16 of the Champions League. So I guess their only eventual return to European football would be to win the Champions League or to, I don't know how, if they get further in the Champions League, is there some sort of Europa qualification, even if they finish in 10th?
No, sir.
So they just got to win the Champions League to try to get back to the Champions League. But they're up against Chelsea, so.
Yeah, but they could also do it. I forgot what it's called, but they can really turn around the rest of the season, get Europa Conference, get Europa League, maybe even get a trophy under their belts next season.
Yeah, the gap isn't that large. Right now they're in 35 points, and to get to 3rd place, which is a qualification bid, it would be 7 points. So they're about 3 games back.
Nothing.
Yeah, they're about 3 games back at Nice. That's how the French league kind of fluctuates. 'Cause you see teams like Nantes, Lens, that are in the top half of the table, but you ask anyone about them, no one's ever heard of them. But
That's also
it's
the
all
thing.
kind of, there's not a lot of parity between teams. Especially, like, people called it Farmers League for PSG, but a lot of teams are really close in that league.
Yeah, I think it's actually similar to the Premier League, and I'm going to get a lot of shtick for this, but the Premier League is like one of the best leagues in the world, and every single team, Burnley even, who are at the bottom of the table, are big teams who...
Burnley could win on its best day.
Yeah. You put Burnley against a bottom table La Liga side, a bottom...
You put Burnley against Man United a few weeks ago, and they pull out a result.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the thing with these top 5 leagues. Even these lower teams, a lot of these lower teams are still top teams. Most of these mid-table teams, when they have a good day, they could beat any other team, even in the Dutch league. I was trying to get a good league out there in my head. So the Dutch league,
Yeah, so now translate that to them in the Champions League. All right, Lille is a good team. We cannot look at the table and think that. And like we said, the gap is not super far back for Lille to come back and really make up some sort of ground. But they're playing a Chelsea side that under Thomas Tuchel hasn't really succeeded in the end, but they're still obviously pretty high up, but a lot of fans and obviously the ownership probably is not really impressed by the fact that they've been dropping a lot of points in draws and different things like that. But obviously they're the favorite in this game, and obviously we got Christian Pulisic to watch among other people as well if he gets to start. You know how they flip-flop people in and out, but they're a team that has to be reckoned with. That is class right there. He's like the LeBron James of soccer. That's going on social right there. We clip. I do the social stuff with admin, with our admin that we pay to do stuff. Thanks admin so much. But just post memes that we talk about. So usually it's been Jose pictures. We had that video of Kevin De Bruyne saying, "Say something, it's a video," for our first video. So that was fun. But that was good. We'll have what is it? Pawn Stars? Rick Harrison?
Yeah.
Rick Harrison's going to be on the front. Maybe.
One thing you'll see with Chelsea is I think they are still... They have just won the Club World Cup, which will be a big confidence boost, but I still think they're going to struggle a little at least. And I think Lille will have something to prove. They're going to want to get far here, and they're going to want the money.
Oh, it's actually absolutely true.
These players.
Yeah.
More players. So I think Lille could pull it back, and they could get a very good result that could see them go through. Because you got to remember, with a lot of Chelsea players, forwards especially, because I know some fans do have opinions on the Lukaku situation. And I was speaking to one the other day, and he said his ideal front three would actually be Pulisic. He's not American, actually. His ideal front three would be Christian Pulisic, Lukaku, and Havertz. As Havertz would hold up the ball for Lukaku. But either way, I think if Chelsea can get that system down, which Tuchel's a smart man, he will. They'll definitely destroy Lille. It's not in the bag yet.
And I hate to say this name after what he did to Tottenham a few weeks ago, but Ziyech, he's really good. There's no denying he's really good. I mean, when Hugo Lloris watches a ball fly into his top corner, he's pretty good. So his left foot, I mean, he doesn't really have a right foot is the only thing. He's like Mahrez, except Mahrez will kind of sometimes go in his right. There are two players that will always try to find their strong foot. But when he does get that half a yard on his left foot, he's just incredible.
Yes.
But your players like Havertz can kind of be in a number 10 position. That's where I think Havertz thrives the best, in my opinion. Werner gets a lot of hate, but he's actually really good. Lukaku just never gets the main thing about Lukaku is he doesn't get his service. Like, he always calls to the balls, and all the commentators pick it up too. And, like, there'll be a great ball on or something, Ziyech can play over. And actually, no, Ziyech is the only person that gives him service. Like, everybody else will always either overhit the pass or way underhit it, because he can hold up play, but he does best when he's released on something or can head the ball. So, yeah, their attack is going to be influential, or is going to be very vital to defeating Lille.
That was a really good breakdown. I was going to talk about Ziyech because you can listen back to the pod and probably hear me talking about Ziyech and thinking he's overrated. Do I still hold that position? Yes. I think he's a good player. I just don't think he's a world-class player, which I don't think you didn't say that. I'm not going to say that you said that, but I compare him to like a Paul Pogba type where, I pulled two goals out of my bag and there they go. And then I disappear for the rest of the season. But the point
I don't think that's fair. I will argue. I don't think that's fair because as much as I hate Chelsea, I think Ziyech is kind of vital to that team.
I'm just someone who hates one-footed players, so that's my only problem. Like, if I were a coach,
he is one-footed.
Yeah, if I were a coach and I'm like, why would I sign someone that can only use one foot? And the defense should be able to just, force him on his right foot, but of course it never happens. So, hey.
But the thing about one-footed players is when they're good on that foot, they know how to trick defenders into getting into all the defenders will obviously know that he's left-footed, as they do with Mahrez too. But if you are really only one-footed, I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this. You've gone up against enough defenders to know that even if they know you're left-footed, you can still do something to get a shot off. And
I think the craziest example is like Arjen Robben literally never would use his right foot. He'd use it for service a few times, but he would always make that move to the inside and always get that shot off. It's amazing.
I'll bring you guys into one thing that I was playing at the beach yesterday because we went to the St. Pete Beach, me and some college friends. We were playing some beach
college
football.
Friends.
We were playing some beach football, and I'm very right-footed. I can barely pass with my left foot, but I have my friend Rob. He doesn't. None of them play football. But I put him onto. While I was trying to get the ball from him, I kind of pressured him on his right side, and it was very difficult for him to dribble with the left.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's one thing as just someone who plays sometimes for fun. You'll see even on the beach, which I know it's a different sport on the beach. You'll see a big difference if you pressure them on their strong foot if they're one-footed.
Yeah, but ultimately, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, do you think youngsters like Botman for Lille are going to be able to recognize that and do the job against Ziyech, who is he's middle of his career. I think he's not like a young talent, but he's also not aging too much. He's he's been around enough to know that he can trick people. But do you think somebody young like Botman in their defense is going to be able to hold it down enough?
I personally think with Botman, with young players, a lot of their play style will be derived from the coaching they have in front of them.
And they also have Jose Fonte.
Yeah.
Fonte as well. But you'll have older players and coaches kind of in the same position, old players in the same position, kind of helping that player understand their play style, understand what they have to do to counter players like Ziyech, who are vital to another team that they're facing. So I think it's up to the coaching staff and the older defenders to kind of get it into Botman's head that if you're going to pressure Ziyech, you got to get him on his right foot to, I guess, kind of neuter him. That's the best word I can think of. It's a horrible word, but to weaken him.
Say thwart. That's a good word.
Yeah, there you go.
Thwart him. Yeah.
I mean, that would definitely weaken him. So.
Yeah.
That's the best word I could come up with.
Well, you had some really good words before that too. So.
Yeah, apologies for the fruity language, everyone. Apologies for the fruity language.
Flip that.
I think you've actually said worse before, and I've just marked it as explicit, so not a big deal.
There you go.
I think you've dropped a something bomb before once, but
happens to the best of us, dude.
Yeah.
But we'll see because this is a very fun fixture. I think it's an exciting fixture. And speaking of fixtures from the same day, you'll have Villareal versus Juventus. Now this is exciting as Juventus have signed their new striker.
I love him. I love Vlahovic so much. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I love I have the same idea of Vlahovic as you do Luis Diaz, except I haven't known Vlahovic as long as you've known Diaz. But he's good.
Also, yeah, he's a wonderful player, and I don't know everything about him because I don't really watch Serie A that much, but he's really, really been class for Dortmund. I think he's scored 2 goals already. And as well with Villareal, you have players like Pau Torres, you have players like Moreno, and you also have a new loan signing from Tottenham Hotspur. Who is it? Is it Lo Celso or I always forget.
Yeah, Lo Celso.
Yeah, you have Lo Celso, who is a good player, but he's struggling. He's been struggling. So this is also like a chance for him to prove himself. But
he was good before he left Villareal back in 19, I think, and then he came over to Tottenham, and now he's back at Villareal. So I think it will be interesting to see if he can thrive where he kind of made his mark, because he started at PSG and then he made his mark at Villareal, and then
it was Betis actually. Sorry,
Betis. Oh
yeah, it was Betis. But no, you're right. He was class for Betis. And the big thing you want to see with those players, especially for Villareal, because they don't have like world-class players, except for maybe Torres, arguably.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Moreno as well, but that's just my biased opinion. There are a lot of players that go under the radar there. And Pino, I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Yeremy Pino. Yeah.
Yeah, all those players, they fit well into that team. And you really want to see them succeed against a big team like Juventus, but you also have to feel bad for Juventus with getting knocked out against Porto last season. So we'll see.
Yeah, it shows anything can happen if they got knocked out by Porto, who, like you said, they didn't expect to lose to Porto, and then Sergio Oliveira came strolling on in, so...
Class player.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think it's a fixture that is as well. That's also up in the air. But I do think Juventus will get past Villareal, just because. I mean, you have Vlahovic, and then you have everyone around supporting him.
Mm-hmm.
Not Kulusevski anymore.
That is true, and
great business. Tremendous business. Yeah.
Great business.
Mm-hmm.
And Jared, what were you going to say?
We'll see.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on really quickly about, Villareal is probably, you think about one of their victories, right? They're a team that has conquered the Europa League. Honorary has won it with them. He won it last year against Man United. And so I don't think that they're really counted out against the Juventus squad that's going to be rebounding. And obviously Vlahovic is going to be an insane player for them, and they still Cuadrado and a couple other guys that are going to be really good. But I would not count out kind of Villareal being able to do some things. But I mentioned Man United. Regardless, I think this fixture is another interesting one because Atletico is obviously a team that's notorious for just being a frustrating team tactically, and obviously having some great goal scorers as well, despite being known for like a really rigid defensive system, which you could argue people called Mourinho that for quite some time. But, they were devastating on the counter with a lot of that play design. So with that, a Man United team that has not played Ragnick ball well, unless Ragnick ball is also a problem, but we can delve into that later because I think Camilo and I both think it's on the players with some of the mistakes they're making right now. If you have 4 or 5 managers come in and out, it's definitely not on the managers at that point. But this game's going on Wednesday, and we'll have to see what goes on with it. But I'm a big believer in what Atletico does, despite them faltering the round of 16 the past few times. I think that if you can be frustrating and you can really take chances, then they can get jobs done, especially against a United team that obviously you have to set aside some of the other things, but their inconsistency comes from Greenwood. Obviously is not going to play for them for who knows how long ever again. Rashford has not been playing well in a dip of form. Their midfield is not really that creative.
Never.
They don't really have a lot of answers right now for all the problems that surround them. That's prime for Atletico to do something.
You were talking about their midfield. Fernandez is the only player that's been semi-consistent for them, and he's still not even at the form he was at in, say, last season or the season before.
And that's sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say, like, he's been good, but not what he used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing though.
I think that's the crisis of not being the focal point of the attack.
Yeah. That's the big problem, and I wouldn't even put it on like Ragnick or Ole, even though.
Well, it's on the board for buying Ronaldo. To be fair.
Yeah, but
that I don't think that. I think United said, "Oh, we could get Ronaldo. Let's get Ronaldo for the sake of having Ronaldo."
Yeah.
But you don't think about how he could play in your system, and now the fact that they have to retool everything to feed him and get him to score goals, like the way they were attacking. For quite some time before they had Ronaldo was fantastic. And the big problem is Ragnick and Ole, they wanted to press, but Ronaldo, he's not going to press the ball at 36 years old. He wasn't going to press the ball at 26 years old. And
I'm not going to put that on him.
Yeah, you're not supposed to, but they have to pick or choose one or the other. Do you press and bring in guys that can press and maybe play Ronaldo in a different role? And told him, hey, you need to buy into this game plan? Or do you try to center your offense around Ronaldo, which maybe you could argue has been done at Juventus for the past 3 seasons and not worked internationally? So I think that's the big problem for them at the moment.
I think another reason they brought in Ronaldo, also kind of like you're saying, like a power move, just it's because he used to play there, and he did so well. I think he's kind of because he's going on retirement age. I think the way he is, I think he's still got a few more seasons left in him, maybe 3 or 4.
Oh, he absolutely has it, but it's difficult.
I think it was also just for the fact that, hey guys, Ronaldo's back.
Mm-hmm.
Come watch our game. Give us revenue. Ronaldo's back at Manchester United, and I don't mean to sound too against him. I like him, but I am Messi over Ronaldo every day of the week. They're different. But I think Ronaldo has been he's been good for United, but like you say, he's not. They brought him in just for the heck of it. They didn't bring him in for any tactical reason.
And so when they're playing against an Atletico team, that begs the question,
I think they
right?
brought him in to help the United brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now it begs the question, right? How do they try to counter that? An Atletico side that has some weapons and João Felix and a couple other guys, but they also, I wouldn't say that they're actually a really strong offensive team either.
About Suarez.
Suarez is playing well too. I'm not sure on the status of, I'm blanking on his name, so I forgot to mention him.
Yeah, Carrasco too.
Yeah. But a couple other guys. But other than that, so really I would think the best part of this game is it's going to come down to, which can be said for any game, but who wants to win the battles more? Atletico is a team that plays for Simeone and that's probably going to win the 50-50s and play to that system probably much stronger than they've shown for Ralph. And to be fair, to give Ralph some credit, I don't think he's found the system that the players can actually work around either.
The thing, my one problem with just this whole game is I don't think United have a chance. I think they're what's the word? The mentality in the club is draining.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't the United that you'd see 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's not.
Game's gone soft.
I think United's good. Yeah, United's gone soft, and I think you're not going to see a United team that are going to play for the manager or the badge. I'm not saying all the players. I'm saying some of the players, and I think even if some of these decent players go play for the badge, they're not going to overcome this Madrid side, who are wonderful right now. Well, they're not in wonderful form, but they're fourth in La Liga right now, and I don't see them stopping anytime soon.
They put up a good fight against a very, very good Barcelona team and almost came back into the game. Or they did come back into the game, but that game, because in my show, in the World Soccer Report, I always do a worldwide game of the week, which I touch for like 2 or 3 minutes, like in detail on what, in my opinion, was the most exciting game of the week. Sometimes there's 0-0 draws. It's just if it's an exciting game, I'll talk about it. And sometimes there are too many to choose, so I just choose the first one that I think of. And that was for sure the standout one, for sure, because that Alba to Alves link up again, and just Barcelona was so good on the day until maybe the 60th minute, but because of how good they were up until the halftime or so, they were able to have that 30-minute downward spiral. But Atletico were spot on to catch them out on it as soon as they started slipping. So, like you said, I think United don't have a chance in this game. They might score, they might get a goal,
yeah.
But I think I think this one might be like a 3-1.
Yeah.
Should we move on to the next game now?
Yeah, we could round that out.
This is the battle of the non-top 5 leagues.
Yeah.
But two teams that may or may not be the best teams in their league. Benfica, it's arguable. It's really.
This man's just salty. He's a Porto fan. He's got the Mourinho legacy and Luis Diaz legacy.
The Luis Diaz.
It's just a pipe. It's just a pipeline. Porto's like a pipeline for Colombian players. So like, what am I gonna do? But I think Ajax definitely have this. As I'm not gonna pretend like I know a lot of either of these teams or these players, but with Ajax, just you've seen them and you've seen how they've dominated the group stage. And they usually dominate their domestic league. I don't know if they are right now. I'd assume they are. But I think Ajax really, really have an opportunity here. In this first picture, I think they can definitely prove themselves away at Benfica and scare them.
And yeah, to answer your question, they are 5 points clear on the top of the Eredivisie, and no surprise, PSG and Feyenoord are the two behind them, and then AZ, all those big clubs are.
Yeah.
But Benfica, that's one I really want to talk about. Their striker, Darwin Núñez, Uruguayan striker, he is absolutely tearing the league up right now. He is blowing the league away. He has 18 goals on the season. By far their top scorer. I think their second is Rafa. And funny enough, the second top scorer in the league is actually Luis Diaz, who doesn't even play there anymore, with 14. But yeah, 4 goals clear, top scorer of the league against somebody that doesn't even play in the league anymore shows that he's up there. I think I don't know too much about the way they play in total, but if their star people can link up, like Rafa and Grimaldo can get a pitch a little bit and feed it to Núñez, I think they can definitely do something, for sure.
I think Núñez, just as a Uruguayan, I think he definitely can be better than Cavani or Suarez in his career trajectory. Well, not Suarez, maybe not Suarez, but Cavani, I think he definitely can eclipse what Cavani has done as a player in his career. I don't know. I'm just a huge fan of Núñez, and I think he's a very exciting prospect in Europe. So this is an exciting game, as well for them to prove themselves and kind of say to big clubs, hey, we're here, or they can stay in their leagues and they can tear it up and they can drive these teams into international success.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we a lot of people seem to forget how close Ajax were to a Champions League final just a few years ago.
One goal. They were about 30 seconds away, right?
Yeah,
Lucas
but
Moura.
Yeah, Lucas Moura is just a top player, and
I bet you're happy about that.
I was celebrating. It was a good time.
You see what I wonder about that type of fixture, right? Like, would you be happy to have that victory just to lose in the final, or do you still appreciate that moment?
I think you appreciate both those. Yeah, we always appreciate that.
Legitimate question though, but yeah. I'm not being mean. I'm just asking.
I don't. You want to win a final, but
yeah.
like.
Yeah, but you got a Liverpool supporter on the other end.
Like, of course, you enjoy that. You want to win that final, but like, it was worth it. Yes, it was worth it to go through the heartbreak of that. Because like it was like
you got to fall down so you know what it's like when you succeed, man. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All hope was lost, and they pull it out of the bag. And I think that's something that Benfica and Ajax can do as well. I think they are good teams, and especially Ajax, I think they can really get far in this competition. Maybe even the final. Maybe even win it. Call me insane.
They got okay. Yeah, if they win it, I'll give you some. I don't know yet. I'll give you something, but I don't because that would be crazy if they can repeat what they did in the 2019 Champions League. But they have good players. They got like Tadic.
Yeah.
Haller's their striker right now, right?
Yeah. Out of West Ham and in good form.
Yeah, and he's Haller's tearing it up in the group stage. I think he's the top scorer actually.
And don't forget about
up there.
Please don't forget about
Anthony.
One of the best players in the world. Yeah, or not in the world, but like in.
Isn't he the guy that did that super nice skill? Like that?
Yeah, Anthony. He's very exciting for them, and he may be Brazilian, but
he's most definitely Brazilian.
He's most definitely Brazilian, but
also,
I'm still a big fan.
Well, firstly, if it's spelled Anthony like that, he's Brazilian. Secondly, the way he plays with the ball and makes those skill moves, he's Brazilian.
Yeah.
I can check it right now. I'd guess he's still Brazilian. No doubt about it.
And you also have those other players that I think go under the radar, like Gravenberch. I forgot how to pronounce it.
Gravenberch, yeah.
And you have Timber as well.
Timber, yeah.
I really like Timber. So those two players are also players who aren't forwards, who can really show Benfica what they're made of.
Yeah.
And they're like, kind of like you guys were talking about the Jude Bellingham case before. Like, if they can, they're young players like that they can or not Jude Bellingham, Camavinga in the Real Madrid clash. If they can hold the midfield down like that and prove themselves from a young age, they're dangerous. They're dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
If the teams have players that can do this at a young age, imagine what they have going forward.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
So yeah, we got through the round of 16. That's usually how we try to get through all this stuff. Big round of applause to everyone. Yeah, we try to get through basically a preview. When we did it bi-weekly, it was kind of interesting because we were able to get a preview and then like kind of a recap / preview into the next round. But with our schedule thus far is every week, so it's 2 weeks strong, so not bad.
How much time do we have? Because I want to touch on a few other things.
It's been an hour right now, so our goal is to try to make the episode shorter because our longest episode was the first one. It was 2 hours and 21 minutes.
All right. Let's just speed.
So we try to structure stuff, but we were gonna leave this to talk about whatever we want. A U.S. men's national team talk is always great. Maybe like some of the players that come out of the U.S. leagues going to Europe, stuff like that.
Oh, I got it.
But yeah, Camilo, you can start with what you need here.
Jonathan Gomez. Yeah. You have what's that? The guy from Minnesota.
Oh, Minnesota.
Cole Bassett. I really like Cole Bassett. I think
As long as he's not Jackson Ewell, we're chilling, right?
And I just want to touch on a few Europa League fixtures really quickly, speedrun them, because these are good teams. Like Barcelona, Napoli, Dortmund, Rangers, Porto, Lazio, and the biggest game of them all, Sheriff Braga.
Sheriff.
FC
Sheriff.
Yes.
Their social media
Go
page is the
Sheriff.
best. I love that because they just have they do like, you know how there's Conte cam for Spurs and they just do it. And it used to be a Mourinho cam. Like now they have like a gaffer cam where it's just him just sitting there and he's just sitting in the chair. Like when they score a goal and he just gets up and he's not even smiling. It's like, yeah, it's fantastic.
That's the thing with a lot of these teams, like Dortmund, like Barcelona. You'd expect them to get into the group stage of the Champions League, even Atalanta. And they're facing good teams, Olympiacos, Napoli, Rangers. Those are all good teams. And you want to see how far those teams can get. You want to see Porto even. You want to see how far those 4 teams can get. You want to see if they can win the competition. And that's just a big thing with Europa League. It's usually under the radar, or
Atalanta.
it's usually like not really touched on, but these are big teams.
Well, because always some of them fall out, especially when you think of like a group of death or something like that.
Yeah. So I just want to see Barcelona, Dortmund. I want to see these teams succeed in this Europa League. I want to see one of these teams get that trophy.
I want to see Sheriff get that trophy.
Facts.
This is true.
Yeah.
They got that result against Real and Inter Milan. They beat Shakhtar, right? I think they beat Shakhtar. They drew against Real, and I'm not sure if they drew against Inter or if they won against Inter.
They beat Real in the first leg.
Oh.
And you also have other teams who aren't going to be playing these next 2 fixtures because the format will as they won the first round, the format will have them in they were the first team on the group stage. They'll be playing in the next round, and those are exciting times. So, how do you guys feel about the new format with the Europa League?
I don't know too much about it. I haven't looked into. I follow the Champions League more than the Europa League, but the Europa League's of course a great league.
I'm a Europa League merchant.
No, your Conference League. Wait, no, they got forfeited
Yeah,
out.
we got knocked out. So
I mean, Audi Cup merchants.
it's a real trophy.
The slander.
Audi Cup's the biggest trophy in Europe. We beat Bayern Munich to get it. So
yeah, and you posted once something about like a whole thread of why the Audi Cup is a real trophy.
there's a Twitter account that goes Audi Cup is a real trophy, and then there's another Spurs account that is like the last time Spurs won a trophy, days since Spurs won a trophy, and the Audi Cup guy always comments on that account. Audi Cup. Audi Cup is a real trophy. So, no, but you're going to see big things in the Europa League as well. Maybe not at this stage, but later on in the final stages, you're going to see some big things, and it's exciting. But to touch on the U.S. men's national team, do you guys think we're going to qualify? And if you do, where do you think we're going to qualify?
I think there are a few questions to be kind of intertwined with that. So I guess I'll feed one. Are you Greg at Berhalter out kind of guy? Or are you Greg Berhalter in kind of guy, Buster? What do you think about the gaffer?
I'm cool with him. I haven't heard too much about him one way or the other, but like I have heard there's debate on him, but I don't really have a side because I don't really look into him too much. But yeah, what do you guys think about him?
Well, fans of the podcast won't know. Me and Jared, we're not huge fans of Berhalter here.
This man managed Columbus Crew.
He's a manager, and I salute him for what he's done with his career and to be able to get to that level. Some people may say, Jared, I think, as an example, may say he got there through nepotism. But I still think, he's gotten us this far through luck, mostly luck.
It was very lucky.
But even if we don't, we will qualify, even if we don't do good in the World Cup. He's learning. Either way, though, I think the U.S. will qualify, and it's exciting for us.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the table right now. How many more games are left?
I think 2, or is that no? That might be South America.
So,
but
I think there's 3. Because there's like 14 or 15.
Oh, that's true.
Something like that. Right. But the way it works, I know the qualifying is top 3 make it, 4th goes into the playoff, and the 5th, you're like 5th and down, you're out. But like it's all up in the air. Like I think Canada's up top, of course, because US lost to Canada because the US is ridiculous. But like it's completely not out of the question that obviously Mexico would ascend past the United States, and I don't see the standings with me right now, so I don't know who's even close.
It's Mexico and
Mexico,
the US tied.
Mexico, USA, Canada, and then Panama are 4th, and Costa Rica in 5th.
Yeah, so I would not doubt any of those teams, despite the fact that they should be lower on the pecking order than the United States, because I'm a Berhalter out guy because I think his man management is poor. I think his decision making in games is extremely poor. When he needs to adapt tactically, he doesn't make changes. So, like, think about it, right? Like, you're in games where you're there 0-0, and CONCACAF, the Gold Cup, whatever, the Nations League, both of those competitions, especially the latter one, they won their last 2 or 3 matches and 1-0 victories, the last 2 off of set pieces. Everyone's happy about that. I was not. I thought it was. I don't think we won the trophy because
just scraped it.
Yeah, because we won the trophy, but I say it's not a moral victory in the sense that winning like by a chance like that off a set piece. Yes, you do practice set pieces. Yes, they're important, but winning because of the players' abilities in that sense and not how you attack and set up a game against teams that you should beat is not a victory for me, especially when you're going to have to come in and try to play in the World Cup. And the expectation is you're making the quarterfinals and you don't have a Tim Howard to make 16 saves against Belgium. You don't have that. You don't have a team of that. You have a team of that quality. You don't have a system that's accommodating those players. So
you got Matt Turner, though.
Yeah, which is fantastic.
Matt Turner's real. I'm a freaking huge Matt Turner fan.
Yeah.
I hate that he moved to Arsenal. On a side note, I despise it because I'm also a huge Aaron Ramsdale fan.
Oh, Rammers, yeah.
And he won't play. I said on my podcast, unless Aaron Ramsdale literally breaks every bone in his body, Turner won't get any game time except for maybe some cups. So,
no, you're right. Go on.
It just really annoys me because he needed a move to Europe, but not to Arsenal.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to play past Ramsdale.
No, he's never ever going to play past.
That's what I don't get.
I'm sure they brought him in because Leno's furious and wants to leave. Because I mean, poor Leno too gets all the starting, and then all of a sudden Ramsdale comes in out of nowhere. And I didn't like when Ramsdale joined. I thought they paid way too much for him, but then shows what happens. And I think he was worth every penny and more that they paid. So
even though I don't know how I feel about it because I'm disappointed because I like Matt Turner, but he signed for Arsenal, like a horrible team, a team that like I don't know. Either way, though, like you still have big U.S. name. If DK can move to Europe, you have Giacchini, who nobody really. He plays in like the second tier of France, but I still think he's talented. He's exciting. I like him a lot. And you have I forgot his name, but he's a player who plays in Brazil. Who I think we got to call up. But we have talent in the outfield as well who don't really get a chance, who deserve it. Because I think if you called up some of these players, you won't be having like 1-0 wins against Canada in like a Gold Cup group stage. You won't be having like these tiny wins off set pieces, as Jared was saying.
Yeah. Like, it's
So
just, it's the luck, though. And, like, the substitution I always point out, too, is Greg in the final. I forget who was the striker, but remember when he subbed on Tim Way as a left midfielder?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was... Tim Way is a wonderful player, but I don't think he should play in the left midfield.
I've seen him play in real life. I think he set up... It was a game against Colombia, again at Ray J.
Mm-hmm.
He set up Bobby Wood, I think, for their second goal of the game.
USMNT legend.
Yeah.
Bobby Wood.
After Kellen Acosta, and he was good. He was good for sure. You could tell he was a talent. I think isn't he a prodigy of Lille as well?
Yeah.
So something that he could be facing.
He's also the son of the president of Liberia.
It's crazy. And
Ballon d'Or winner.
Ballon d'Or winner, president of Liberia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The only president to win a Ballon d'Or.
Football facts.
It's exciting times and worrying times for the U.S.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's because you have such a bright prospect of things that you can say, oh, what if we're just wasting an opportunity?
Well, yeah, because...
Like the most famous Marshall Mathers line, what if you had one chance?
Yeah, and, I mean, we had one chance. We
like,
beat Jamaica 1-0 in the Gold Cup with, like, an 83rd minute goal. We beat Qatar with an 86th minute goal. I mean, those aren't the standards we should be playing at. And we beat Mexico with a 117th minute goal.
Unless we're inflating what we should expect out of the team. But most everyone agrees that that's not the case and that they need to do better. And at least in my opinion, that's where the no-ness falls in the manager. And people talked about Jesse Marsch while Berhalter was still there and while he was at Leipzig. And I said, he's the only manager in Europe that's American. Okay, he should try to carve out his destiny, right? He gets sacked. So people probably point to him again, but Camilo made the point in our last episode that if Greg doesn't get the results and people do want to see some sort of managerial change, maybe it has to be from someone with top 5 flight experience in the Europe Big 5 leagues and had sustaining success. The latest guy to actually have some sort of managerial experience in that sense was, of course, Jurgen Klinsmann, probably one of the more successful coaches to date, coaching with Hertha Berlin and a couple other teams. Not the best teams, but he was still there. And he did bring something to the table that was different, unique, and really, he was able to make a lot with a little. And now Greg Berhalter has a lot making a little, in my opinion.
And now I see where you guys are coming from with Berhalter, and you're absolutely right. If the USA is barely hanging on against teams that they should beat, what are they going to do in the World Cup?
Mm-hmm. Like I fully expect them to lose in the group stage. That's my prediction. Yeah. If they qualify, they're going to lose in the group stage.
If they qualify, they're going to lose every single game. They might like scrape a win or two, but because they do have good players, and like even though that 3-2 against Mexico was so late, they still played all right against Mexico. And like it was a deserved win, and Mexico almost tied it up at the end, but I think it was Hovarth, the keeper, absolutely bailed us out. But yeah, they won't survive in the World Cup if they keep going on like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean you have good teams like Qatar. Qatar is a good team. I think so. Who still have a shot to get out of the group stage. I know they haven't drawn anything. Not everyone's qualified, but you still have teams like Qatar who will kind of be unknown and have a chance to prove themselves.
Yep.
I think the U.S. would struggle against a team like that.
Well, because that's a completely psychological sense of turmoil where Qatar has a chance to prove itself and it has no pressure, whereas the United States is a team that needs to do everything and everything possible. But also the players can also come from a position where they think, we're the United States, we're supposed to be good, and we should just expect a result. So there's so many different things that could go on in each player's mind as far as how they need to approach the match. And ultimately, I just don't think that at the end of the day, when they do need to become a more cohesive unit, that the manager will prepare them for those situations.
I think that's a great assessment of exactly what's going on.
Yeah, and we'll see where it goes. But I mean, I guess a more positive light that we can take to round out the show, kind of bring in your expertise, Buster, is some of the guys that coming from the United States, whether it's the academies, whether they're playing in MLS, playing in USL, going into those big leagues in Europe or elsewhere and having an impact. Obviously, the most obvious answer for a lot of people is a guy like Ricardo Pepi, who had USL League One experience.
Beltran.
And now he's with Salzburg?
Yeah.
But everyone watched him and said, wow, this is great. But even the U.S. men's national team and a couple of the other guys, right? Like, there is so much experience dawning from USL seasons, whether it's like a couple other guys that come up and maybe they play USL and they get a move to MLS or a championship or something like that, but they're making moves in that sense. And it begs the question, right? U.S. soccer has been really developing the past couple of years, and it's probably only going to get better from here.
Yes, sir.
My internet just went crazy.
No problem.
And it glitched you out a lot, but yeah. Hopefully it's only up from here, because you have players like Jonathan Gomez now with Sociedad, I think, and one guy, Kobe Henry, that played against the Rowdies in the final against Orange County. I was there. I will never live it down. We were not the greatest that day.
It's unfortunate for Randy's brother too.
I love my club, but yeah, Ryko. Poor.
Yeah,
I mean, poor Ryko.
I was kind of sad, especially the goal on the. I don't know if it was a goal kick or if it was just an offside and a reset of play where he passed it and then the defender passed it in front of the goal and they just scored the goal.
No,
that one was devastating.
I think what that is miscommunication, because Ryko's English, the amount of time I've tried to get, like, I've asked, or like tried to, like, I have to speak in Spanish to him to get like a photo or a signature, but his English is not great. So, and I think when you have Aaron Guillen does speak Spanish, Jordan Scarlett, he's Jamaican, so I don't know how much dialect he's going to get there.
I know Seba is Brazilian, but he probably speaks sort of.
Seba's Uruguayan.
Oh, he's Uruguayan?
Leo's a Brazilian.
Leo's Brazilian. There. Yeah.
And and I could go on a 2-hour assessment about that game and how it went, but I can sum it up. We were not great. Ryko is going to get a lot of blame for what happened, but he didn't do anything wrong. He actually had a really good game. And both goals he almost saved. The first Damas goal that he went that, like, the back pass one that messed up open goal. Almost got it. He almost got it.
Yeah.
The free kick, the Miko Kaninga's free kick, you can't do anything about. Just really, really, I saw it coming too. But he almost got to that one, and then that third one, the volley off of a Cavillo cross by Damas. I think it made ESPN Sports Center or something. Top 10. It was just good. Couldn't do anything about it. So, but a lot of young players came against the Rowdies in that playoff system with Gomez for Louisville, and that was the end of our season. How about that? We can just say that Louisville game was the end of the Rowdies season, and because it was so good. But Gomez, it's incredible how good he is at the age of 18. He's a brick wall. He's 2-footed. He's strong. He's fast. I think he was pretty good in the air. He's good. And then you got Kobe Henry, who didn't play, I don't think, on the Orange County game, but still loved by the fans. We're 17 years old. Great defensive option going in the future. Yeah,
I'll be honest, I wasn't even aware that these European clubs were picking up these young Americans from the USL. I didn't realize the USL was a pipeline for Europe, but
USL also has a lot more of an internalized structure as far as obviously they're shooting for promotion relegation within the next 5 years. I don't know if that'll happen.
I'd love that.
But the next 10 years from the conference I went to, their hope is that they become a top league, and the part of that is once they have the promotion relegation would be to try to elevate their championship level to a Division 1 status. Hence the name. But yeah.
I see the USL as kind of like a not quite the EFL championship, but some similar, maybe like an EFL League One.
Yeah.
Championship. The championship is really good. It's actually one of my favorite leagues in the world because it still has that grassroots element.
Yeah.
Because it's not the Premier League, but the talent is so good in it, and the fans are the best, maybe even the best in the world.
It's because you have that dream to be in the Premier League too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you have your demoted Premier League teams that are playing there, so you do get a taste of like bigger talent. One player that just came to my mind was we got Daryl DK.
Yeah.
Dan Juma. Dan Juma used to play for Bournemouth. He now moved to Villareal. I saw that when I was looking at the Villareal roster, and yeah, you got like the USL now that could move up to the heights of that if they start to get more backing. And more speaking of backing, the Rowdies, it's just a whole financial base. This entire structure in the USA is completely financial based. The Rowdies definitely good enough to play in the MLS, in my opinion. I think they'd be a mid-table MLS club.
Better than the Earthquakes, that's for sure. Everyone clowns San Jose.
Respect for Wando. He's
Wando.
tired now.
Yeah.
But the Rowdies, I think, would be like a mid-table MLS club, or maybe high mid-table MLS club.
Yeah.
And they just didn't have the financial backing when they applied to go in, and that's the only reason they didn't get in. So to your point, I think a promotion relegation thing would be great.
Yeah, because you think back to when Nashville got the bid, right? And they said, okay, they told the Rowdies, oh, we want you to build a bigger stadium, and there's your plan. The Nashville is building its soccer-specific stadium, and it's the same size. It's actually smaller than what the Rowdies would have built, but that's neither here or there. That's my conspiracy theory of the MLS agenda against Tampa and the United Soccer League. But
and people seem to forget that Tampa, very nice place, and we had one of the best MLS teams in the world. We had some of the best players on that team. We had Pive, we had Roy Lassiter. I mean, to go back, and now Tampa has, we're starting to get these USL players, these they're exciting. Oh no, it's exciting times for the USL, and I'm just here to enjoy it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's going to be huge to see what they can do. Because you were talking about the valuations of the clubs, and that's a big thing to think about because the way it works as far as the distinctions, like you said, in order to be able to rival MLS, the largest MLS club is probably over $100 million. Maybe if USL's goal was to get some of the clubs to a valuation of about 50 million, which the top ones now are around 10, 15, maybe 20. So searching for consistency in the ownership groups and what they have, that's how they have to push it. So it's obviously an extremely different birth of how it happened in the United States compared to England just going crazy with it. But that's ultimately the way it has to be, and we'll see how the future pans out. But unless we have anything else that's burning on our minds, we could call it a day. It was pretty fun ride.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Very nice to have you, Buster. And you're very well spoken. And
yes.
We appreciate you coming here and talking with us.
It was a pleasure to be here, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, it was fantastic, Buster. Again, this is Buster Leday with the World Soccer Report. I guess real quick, you could take a bit, maybe shout out your show again, where you find it on all platforms, what you do, and yeah.
Yep, World Soccer Report. You can find me at World Soccer Report, all one word, on Instagram, where I post about my show, how to find it, and all that good stuff. Also, if I go to like exclusive games or something like the USL final, I'll post it. I think you can find me on Spotify by searching The World Soccer Report, not all one word. The only thing different from my Instagram tag is that it has "the" in front of it for Spotify, and there you can find all of my show archives, everything I've done. Like I said, that this is fun for me having a bigger show like this, but I always do mine like 10 minutes. Some weeks it's 8, something like that. But yeah, definitely check me out if you like something like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Get a nice little brief as far as what's going on week to week. And you guys, all of our Goal Hour fans don't have to wait for us with our erratic upload schedule and such. Because we're trying to keep it consistent here, though. So far, like I told Camilo, we're 2 for 2 so far. We're now 2 guests in. We're hoping to incorporate more people and different things like that. But you brought us a very unique lens as far as what we could bring with MLS soccer, USL soccer, United States landscape, and some of the stuff with the Rowdies. I guess I'll give you another quick shout for some things. Maybe probably what you'll be doing in the summer as well. I know last year you did a few games. Are you on Twitter at all?
No.
Interesting, because I know there are some people, like, if you report on games or if you get interviews and stuff, like they'll be like live tweeting games. But regardless, you're always at games making content. I'm sure you're going to be doing that again this summer.
Yeah, I go to almost every Rowdy game that I can, and thing I like to do on my show is I get interviews with the guys and talk to them about not only how they like assessments of the game, because obviously the game is going to be viewed a lot differently when you actually play in it, so you get that whole new perspective on it. But I also like to dive into some of their like personal things and things they like, so you can kind of get to know the guys too in a way.
Yeah, I follow what's the keeper's name again? I forgot his name.
Evan Loro.
No, the
Raiko?
the keeper. Yeah.
All right.
I follow him on TikTok. Very nice TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah.
But nonetheless, you can find his socials. You can find Buster's socials down in the description on YouTube, and it's been really nice having you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we really enjoyed it. This is definitely a footprint as far as what we're looking to do going forward, and we're gonna definitely want to keep you in the fold. Not that we're just gonna be like, hey, come on every week, but yeah. But maybe when the USL season starts up again or anything like that, we'll admin will give you a call. The wonderful admin we'll do a quick shout probably. Our admin on social media is fantastic at that.
Yeah, he is.
But again, thank you so much. This was Buster Leday with the World Soccer Report. Delay.
Okay.
How many people switch that? How many people switch that?
Well, the big thing is that there's a capital L in the middle, and nobody ever, and like even official documents will never catch that ever. But yeah, on my first radio experience when I was on the St. Pete Sports Connection with the good old Mike Rickford, he said my name as Bubba Delay.
Is it watching a bit too much Forrest Gump?
for the entire show, and I didn't know what to say about it, and then eventually at the end I was just like, yeah, it's Buster, and then it's
Well,
all right, Bubba. No, we're not gonna make the mistake. Buster Delay.
Yes.
I've gone over that like literally like 5 times, and then I was like, I'll get it over in my head, and I said it wrong. That's unfortunate.
No worries.
So now we're gonna back up here again and reset to our little outro here and act like that never happened. But we got another fun little story along with that along the way. So
yep.
Yeah. Again, that was Buster Delay with the World Soccer Report. He told us a few minutes earlier about how you could find him on all platforms. The World Soccer Report podcast is also on St. Pete. Radio St. Pete, you can kind of Google their website if you want some of the archives, or you can listen live, look at his socials, get the schedules, etc., etc. Want to be in touch? Will be great. This is really fun to do. We're, again, so happy to have you. We're looking to continue to have guests in the future for all of our listeners and viewers of the Goal Hour podcast. Please, please, please stay tuned to our Instagram. Our Twitter doesn't have much following, so go ahead and follow it at the Goal Hour Pod if you want. But our Instagram is more fun as well. So check us out right there. We got some interaction as well. And just keep following along, everyone, to our listeners and viewers, because we're going to have lots more content streamlined along the way with the usual upload schedule. So again, this was Jared Johnston and Camilo Yepes with a special guest saying so long, and we'll see you next week.
Ciao.